All right.
All right, we are live. Hello, hello, welcome. This is a special Monday edition of a Smudgeon of Curmudgeon, mainly because this guy over here is going on vacation, so we need to uh, change our normal schedule up. But today we are with the wonderful, amazing Tori Tecken. Thank you for joining us, Tori. Oh, you're a curmudgeon for hire. Oh,
I am a
I love the
curmudgeon for hire this evening. Yes.
Oh, Dewey, you fancy with the
Dewey
thing
gave
in
me
the
fireworks and
background.
everything.
Yeah.
But yes, we are here to talk Tori's new book, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Dewey, if you will, start us off with our normal get
Oh,
together here.
all right. Well, Tori, welcome. So glad to have you. We've been on
Thank
your show,
you.
but this is your
Thank
first
you.
time to be with us. So super happy, especially on this occasion with your new release. So we're going to dive right in
Yes, we
to
are.
um,
No waiting.
to uh, to initiate you as a curmudgeon. So
I'm
we,
so ready.
oh, oh gosh,
I've been
here.
waiting for this moment my whole life, Dewey.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect.
Oh well,
I was
it might be
born ready.
disappointing. All right, here we go. Okay, so we have a
Okay.
curmudgeon scale.
Okay.
This scale is a 0 to 10, where 0 is going to be how you feel today as a curmudgeon. 0 would be yeah, I'm okay, I'm pretty good, and a 10 would be I'm ready to chunk some bricks at people. So, um,
Today I choose violence.
Exactly.
even if it's mental, sometimes the
Yes,
mental is the
only
best.
yes. We no condoning of physical violence.
No, that's right. No, it's always the mental images. Um, but usually will one of us will start, but Tori, we're gonna celebrate with you. Tell us, how would you rate your curmudgeon for the day?
Well, let's see. I did post a fairly curmudgeonly Instagram reel today. So I'm
Oh,
gonna say I'm gonna go a solid 5. I'm gonna go a solid
oh,
5 today. Yeah,
whoa.
because I can see there's curmudgeon can also be a bit snarky and sassy, and
Oh
I'm
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
feeling it today. So yeah,
100%.
Uh yeah, and just grumpy and just done with things. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to tell us about this reel. So anyway, um, Bill, where are you today?
Let's go
Afraid.
8.
8.
All right.
8.
Okay, that
All
makes me feel
right.
better. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be
No,
like,
no, no.
Oh no.
Solo parenting for the week, and
oh,
it's only been night 2, so it hasn't been terrible yet. But I'm tired.
that's a lot.
I'm
That is
Uh,
tired.
fair.
wow, an eight. What were you last? Well, we'll come back to what you were last week.
Last
You
week I
know,
was a 10. Remember?
oh yeah, that's right. So you've come down a little bit. Usually I hover between an 8 and a 9 just because I'm done with the day. But I'm about to go on a nice vacation, so I'm actually
Yeah.
going to bring myself
Yeah.
down to about a 6.5 because I'm
I'm
feeling
Yeah.
surprised
okay.
you're even that high, Dewey. That seems really high for a vacation.
Well, okay, all right. I'm finding myself smiling, which concerns me. So you know what? I'll come down. I'll come down. I'll be with Tori. I'll be a 5.
I'm more of a curmudgeon than Dewey tonight. What is happening in the world?
Right?
Well, no, no, no. I'm a 5. I'll do that. There we go. Yeah. So perfect. All right. Well, let's see then. You are a 5, Tori. So what we do is we keep a running tab.
Nice.
So last week Bill was a 9.5. So yeah, you're right. So Tori, you're a 5. Welcome to our honorary curmudgeons here.
I love it.
Bill is an 8, and I am a 5, which has to be a low for
That
me.
probably is your lowest, Dewey, by
Record.
far.
I had a 5.5 with Laura.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, she made me happy. Oh, here we go, Dr. Chase. I was happy then.
That
That's
makes
right.
sense because I love that his score is a 1.5.
I think he was having
That is the
trouble.
most that's the
He
most
was
Philip Chase thing I've ever seen in my life.
he was having trouble, I think, like finding a reason to not be a 0. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's a tough
recall.
day for Philip right there. Like I don't know what was
Right?
happening in his life, but that was yeah, there was some serious things going on.
That's
All right.
funny.
Well,
Deep right
welcome to the scale. so happy to have you. All right, let's go ahead and stop here. So, Tori, tell everybody who's listening all about yourself, what and about your new book and just everything.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Tori, and I'm a fantasy author, booktuber, mom of three, music
Cat
nerd.
mom.
Cat. Oh, you guys, honestly, so since
Saw
we
the
went
tail
live,
come up.
she's been clawing my pant leg because I'm not letting her out of the room. So I'm going to do that really quickly.
Okay, so for the podcast and everybody, Tori is letting her really cute cat out of the room. Okay, now she's back.
I'm back. Okay. Yeah, so this is officially my 13th book release, but it is my third as in my adult writing career. And yeah, I'm a massive nerd, basically. That kind of sums me up in a lot of ways. But Cold Silver is my newest release. It's book one in the Shade Silver series, which is kind of a nod to the 60s and 70s serialized Westerns like the Zane Greys, the Louis L'Amours, that kind of thing. But with more of a modern nod to some of my Western film influences like Young Guns, 3:10 to Yuma, Magnificent Seven. And it is the story of a necromancer bounty hunter in a world inspired by the Yukon Gold Rush. So that's kind of my best pitch.
and it is all of that. It is.
Young Gun tells me.
That is one of my favorite films of all time, and there's anybody who reads this book who is also a Young Guns fan, there is actually a insult hidden somewhere in Cold Silver that is directly from Young Guns that I kind of snuck in there as an
one,
Easter
right?
egg.
Not the second.
The first one, yes. The
Okay,
second
good.
one had some moments. I don't hate it.
Yeah,
but
I'm
the
not
first
a fan of the second one as much either.
The first one is the GOAT for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna have to keep an eye out for that one when I start reading.
Yep.
So
Cold Silver for Souls is a brand new, like this can be a series for you, right?
It is.
So
yeah.
Tell what are the plans here? Like
so this is the most like indie fantasy author thing I could have possibly done. I was asked to do a short story in an anthology back in 2003, and I wanted to do something completely blank slate. I knew I wanted to try writing a necromancer character, and I wanted to try writing something with a Western flavor. So I thought, let's put those in a blender and see what happens. And had never written anything first person before, so I decided to go like full blank slate, try something completely different. Okay. And by the time I had finished the short story, which was in The Advent of Winter, which was put on by Dominish Books here on YouTube, I knew I wanted to expand it into at least a novel because I loved writing Hunter's character, and the world just was so vibrant and fun to play in. And at this point, I have plans for 4 to 6 books, and we started as a short story. So, yeah.
Wow. So,
yeah.
2023, right?
2023 is when the short story came out, December. Yep.
Wow. That's fantastic. That's a quick turnaround, too, though, from a short story to a full novel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty short. So Cold Silver is 286 pages. So it's definitely a, fast-paced action adventure kind of vibe, and definitely more in the palate cleanser pool. So
for the nerd in me, how many words is that?
It's like 84, 86.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah.
I asked because I'm writing a book that's going to be in the 70s. And I'm like trying to figure out the page count.
Kind of give you an idea.
Yeah.
And one of the things that strikes me about this, and always with books, is the cover. And you showed this to me a long time ago, the cover, and I immediately was like, "Whoa, this is hot." I just love the shading. I love the shading, the color, the contrast. It just really pops, especially the red pops.
Yeah.
So, who is the artist? Like, can you tell us how you found this?
Yeah, so it is such a sexy cover. I love it so much. So my artist for the cover illustration was Helena Nikolina. She's from the Ukraine. And I am a nerd about Portfolio Day on Twitter. It's my favorite thing. And there's a hashtag Portfolio Day that happens on Twitter every once in a while. Sorry, X, whatever. It's Twitter. That's my curmudgeon moment for the interview. It's Twitter. And I keep a list on Twitter of about 90 to 100 artists that I have found on Portfolio Day that are in all sorts of different styles. They do all sorts of different kind of commissions and whatnot. And Helena's style, as you can see from the cover, is just, it's so vibrant, and like her color work and her lighting is just, it's very special. And she typically posts Dungeons and Dragons character portraits, and that's how I found her. And I was like, man, these are just beautiful. And I knew I wanted something that leaned a tiny bit more toward the graphic novel kind of style for the cover for Cold Silver. And I reached out to her and I was like, so how do you feel about doing a book cover? And she was phenomenal to work with. She sent me a sketch. And it's always a little nerve-wracking as the author when you get the sketch, because you can't quite see the vision the way the artist can. Right. And so she sent me, this dark background with it just kind of some general stick figure-y kind of outlines for composition and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? You're amazing and talented, so I trust you. Let's go. And she sent me this back, and I just about fell out of my chair when I saw it the first time. So, yeah.
Wow. So this was this was a first, like a second draft then.
Basically, because I had her tweak a few things, and then once we had the full piece, then I went back in and I wanted her to, adjust a few things. But for the most part, this is what she sent me with a few adjustments.
I should have pulled up the whole thing, because the back of it shows the shades and everything. And gosh, maybe I can find it, but it's a great spread. Are you going to get it well, Bill in his other room has the spread of the Gospel Tragedy. Well, you have our front cover, but like the full spread of his book. Are you going to get something like that made, maybe to hang in your house? And
I would love to do so someday when I have an actual writing studio. It's going to happen someday. I want to do posters of each of my book covers on the walls. I'm going to probably have to not do full poster size, or I'll run out of room really quickly. But yeah, I would love to blow this up as a bigger art print in my house somewhere, because it's such a beautiful piece of art, and Helena just completely blew my expectations out of the water. I knew she was talented when I asked her if I could work with her, but seeing her bring Hunter and Rip to life like this was just such a gift, honestly, as an author. And I know Dewey won't mention this, but I also have to mention the other two artists that are part of this team, because Jack Shepard, who did the map on the inside of the book.
Oh, the map is incredible.
It's so good. It's so good. And he also did the cover design with all of the text. And then for inquiring minds, on the inside of the book, the chapter headers are actually done by our very own Dewey Conway, and they are also incredible. I've actually had several people ask me specifically, hey, who did your chapter header artwork? Let me tell you.
He's so bashful, and he refuses to take the compliments on how great these are.
Thank you.
You have no idea how good you are. It's so good.
Well, thank you.
100%.
That was a lot of fun to do. Because I had not drawn a revolver before, so it's a revolver and a knife. I had not drawn that before, and so I had several references up, and I'm just looking at it and trying to get it just right. And that was a lot of fun to do. But actually, I had trouble with the shade smoke, and so you really helped me out with that. But yeah, that I want to pull up the and you sent it to me, the map.
Yes.
I remember.
Otherwise, I can just send it to you again right now, because I
would love to show that map. Is hot. I love it.
Oh,
it's
Jack Shepard is
fantastic.
the map guy for so many indie authors right now, and I could not love it more because he is excellent at it.
So I'm gonna show the while you're sharing that, I'm gonna show the full cover. Let's see, here we go.
There you
So
go.
this is the full cover.
Yes.
So you get to see the shade.
Yep.
I shouldn't have cut that out. So, but you can see their fade, and they play a pretty big part. Well, a big part in the story.
Mhm.
But I just love the mountain work. It's so
Yeah.
impressionist to me. It's
Yeah.
very impressionistic. A lot of great work here. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop
She's so
sharing.
talented.
And so you shared the map with me? Oh
I
yeah, there
sent
it
it
is.
to you on Discord. Yep.
Got it. All right.
Yeah,
So
it's one of my favorite parts of the process, to be honest. And I
the
think a lot of other authors can relate to that. Like when you start to get to work with artists and see the visual life of your story, that's something very special.
look at this map, Bill. This
Yeah.
Wow. That
it
looks
is so
like
cool.
that does look like a Gold Rush style aged map. Like it's
Yep.
even aged. Like what the heck?
He even put creases
He
in
Yeah.
the
creases
middle.
in it.
Like
It's so
I
cool.
love the
Folded.
details. It's so
What?
good. It's so good.
Did a great job with
That
it.
is
So
amazing.
it really is. I mean, the detail that goes into just but the funny thing is it's not over detailed. It
No.
looks like an old map that you pull out of your your jacket and open up
Your
and
saddlebag.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. So you did a great job with that. So I already bought the ebook, but I feel like I need to buy the paperback too. Yeah,
It's
That's
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah. That's
So
crazy good.
we're gonna start. We have as part of this. We're just gonna jump into this. We ask questions. So we have questions for you.
I'm so excited.
I
do it.
did.
I'm excited to see what Dewey's come up with because usually I'm the one because so news for everybody that followed us or who hasn't followed this show before. We've made it a rule that we can't have a guest without one of us reading at least one of the books or most of the book by the person we're interviewing. So we have a basis of what we know what we're talking about. Normally, that's me that reads.
Normally it's Bill because Bill's
read quite fast and I read a lot. And the questions that we come up with, I usually come up with too because I try to tie them into the books a little bit. But this time, Dewey is the one that's read Tori's book here, or most of Tori's book here.
Yeah.
And he came up with the questions. So I am excited because this is the first time since we've started our show that Dewey's taken the reins, and I am so happy to see what he's come up with.
And you just get to show up and look pretty, right?
Yeah, that's
something
usually
like
my
that.
role. Yeah.
That's usually Dewey's role. Yeah.
I
I mean,
just show up.
it's kind of hard to not out pretty Dewey. I mean, look at that beard; it's just majestic.
It's a pretty great beard, I will admit. Yeah.
Well, thank you. All righty. So we have a spinner here. The spinner. Oh, we don't have a 7. The spinner has 6 spots for 6 questions, and then you're going to see a little curmudgeon right there. So if you land on a number, we go to that number, and that's a question we're going to ask you. But if it lands on the curmudgeon, then that means that you get to ask us a question. Whatever you want, and we'll try to answer it the best we can. I was going to say
Dewey hates this, and he's the one that came up with that idea. And he gets so nervous, and I love it.
And I always forget to take it off. But oh well, that's okay. It seems to be a hit with the kids. All right, let's go ahead and spin. Here we go. We're gonna see what comes up. Oh,
almost got it right away.
All right, number 1. Let's see. What did I put here? Oh, be honest. How many names did Rip go through before you landed on Rip? Was Crunchy Steve ever on the table?
Well, as a Young Guns fan, it would have to be Dirty Steve, first of all. But
That's right.
To be perfectly honest, he was Rip from day one.
Really?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, he was Rip from day one. I remember writing the short story, and I had this very strong visual image of Hunter like pushing her way through these snow drifts up a mountain, and her this animated corpse in front of her, and she's kind of using him as a bulldozer up the mountain trail. And I just I explain it to people, and sometimes I get a weird look and sometimes I don't. But like, I have never really felt like I create my characters in a way. It feels more like I meet them. Like they just sort of appear. And I'm like, oh, hey. And Rip was just Rip. Like he showed up and he was Rip. And I knew, like, I didn't even know why his name was Rip at the beginning. And I was like, okay, well, we'll figure that out later.
Well, it's kind of perfect. The name.
It is. Yeah. And it is something like Hunter's pretty stoic and practical, but she's also got like a morbid sense of humor. And so it's something that she, you know, would absolutely be like, yeah, this is my corpse Rip, you know?
So, okay, so since I haven't read the book, obviously Rip is her like reanimated corpse.
Yep. Yep.
Was Rip his name before he became the corpse, or is that like a spoilery type thing?
It's not really a spoiler. I am kind of slowly revealing why Rip is being held onto. And but no, his original name was not Rip. He did have a name in the past, yes.
So when I get to the end of the book, I'm not going to find out Rip's backstory. Is that what you're telling me? Okay.
Not in book one.
Well, yeah,
you're getting little bits and pieces, but I actually already have the title for the book where we go back and get the full backstory of where Rip came from and why. And I'm very excited about that. And I'll spoil the title, even though I shouldn't. It's going to be called 30 Pieces of Silver.
Oh,
yeah.
You heard it here. You heard it here first.
And I think that's going to be book 3. So.
Okay.
Yep.
So 30 pieces. I mean, that all makes sense, especially how much.
This is book 3. So is book 2 going to have something like 2 pieces of silver in the title then?
No. No, that one I'm still working on the exact title. I have like a sort of working title for it, but it's not 100%.
Like 2 pouches of silver.
2 pouches of silver. I could do silver in the silver saddlebags or something like that. Yeah.
2 saddlebags of silver.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's ask one more question.
Too furious with silver.
The magnificent silver.
There you go.
Oh, I like that. The magnificent. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We got
there's a lot of options.
Number 2 for the podcast, folks. What's the weirdest rabbit hole of research you fell into while working on Cold Silver or your other books? But I want to start with Cold Silver.
The weirdest. I think what was really fun was I went down a rabbit hole of like what kind of, people were, what kind of businesses you would find in an old Western town and all this stuff. And one of the things in like the first few pages of Cold Silver is that Hunter is walking down the main street of Silver City and she sees inside the window of one of these buildings that there's a gentleman and he's doing some dental work on a man from the town. And he's also the barber. And it was a completely different world back then. Like the fact that you go get your hair done and have your teeth pulled at the same place by the same guy is, mildly concerning. But
today,
small town mentality though too. I mean, like
totally,
they had to wear many hats.
They did. Those 2 specifically, I was just like, I don't know about that.
Probably president of town council and all that stuff too, right?
Probably also the mayor. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in Tombstone where that guy Behan has like all the job titles.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, so I grew up in a very small town of like 200 people. And it was out in the middle of nowhere, rural Minnesota with a lot of like maybe 2,000 to 6,000 person towns around it. And our mayor during our 4th of July parade would sit in a old crumbling armchair in the back of a pickup truck and drive down the like 2 blocks of Webster, Minnesota, smoking his cigarette. It's a different world in the small towns. But yeah, that was a weird one. Bloodstones had more of the like, I'm probably on the FBI lists somewhere, you know, like, because I had to research a lot of like, how long does it take a dead body to decompose in water sort of questions for that
Right.
one. So I'm sure
Do
I'm
I
on the
have my
list
VPN
somewhere.
on? Do I have incognito on? Okay, now I can research
Exactly.
this.
I just imagine some guy in an office and, you know, the FBI somewhere that's just like, oh my gosh, oh, they're a writer, don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
here's another one of those
Another
damn
one of those.
Amazon writers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of, let's go to it. Bloodstones. So this is your other book. This is your baby, your love.
Yeah.
So for those who somehow don't know about Bloodstones, talk about Bloodstones. What's
Okay, so Bloodstones is my love letter to epic fantasy and tragic heroism and the themes of found family and identity. And this book is heavily inspired by my love of ancient history, specifically Asian ancient history. And it starts with a succession war and goes all over the place after that. But this is book one in a trilogy called Legends of the Bruhai, and I don't have favorites, but you know, every author has the series that's like the heart and soul project kind of thing.
right?
And you know, Legends of the Bruhai is definitely that for me. The world and the general story that exists in this book has been around for over a decade, and I've been working on it since college. So that's my baby project.
Wow. And how long? Wait, how long has it been out? It's a couple
Since
years, right?
Yeah, November 28th, 2023. So
Okay.
a year and a half. Is that a year and a half? Yeah.
Wow.
Ish.
Yeah, give or take. We don't math on Mondays.
No, I never math. So
Me neither.
You know, it's crazy though. It's crazy to think that now. So you mentioned this. You know, you have Cold Silver, you have Bloodstones. We'll get to Phased,
yeah.
but you're not. You don't have three books. You have.
No.
This is your Cold Silver is your 14th book. You
13th.
said 13th.
Yeah.
Okay, that just blows my mind. So you have been writing forever. So I would
Yeah.
love. I know everyone would love to hear about that because you started at a pretty early age. Like, tell us all about why did you become a writer? What made you go down this path of creativity?
The early and easy answer to that is I grew up in a family where storytelling was a very rich tradition. My grandfather is a war historian, so he is a wealth of knowledge on the Civil War, World War II. He has a nonfiction book about the Civil War that was comprised of or includes over 200 letters that my ancestor who was in the Civil War wrote home during. So there's just been the writing has been in my family on a high level for many generations. And when I was little, I was an only child, lots of time to entertain myself. And I would set up these big cities in my playroom and they'd go to war with each other. And there was always some big melodrama happening with the monarchy, as there always is. And so it was just kind of always there. Like I always loved these big epic tales of whatever was going on, and it was usually the Legos versus the Pooh characters or whatever. And when I was about 11 or 12, I was a voracious reader. I was reading every horse book I could get my hands on from the library. And I started getting annoyed at some of them. I'd finish one and I'd be like, she could have done something different with that. Or like, I don't really like that ending. And I kind of want to try this writing a book thing because I could do that, And so I wrote my first chapter book when I was 12, and it was kind of a historical fiction from a horse's point of view of the American West. And my mom at 14, she had read the book and she was like, yeah, this is really good. Like we should just do a fun homeschool project and like our family and friends can buy it and it'll be a good learning experience. And then we started getting emails and phone calls from people we didn't know asking, could I come speak at this library? Could I come talk to this public school group? Hey, are you going to write more books? Can I get a book? Because where do you sell these? And it just snowballed like crazy over the next few years. And by the time I was 19, I'd written 9 books. I'd sold over 10,000 copies of those books. And I had done a whole bunch of like speaking, and I'd gone to homeschool conferences all over the US, and it was kind of a wild high school career. So
Wow.
yeah.
And these
Yeah,
were all
that
just like
was
self-published books?
all of it was self-published. So I was around in the dark ages of self-publishing, let me tell you.
That was going to be my next observation.
Yeah.
And how,
was that-
are they under your name? Like, where are they?
So they're under my maiden name. Yeah, they're under my maiden name, which is, you know, it kind of worked out well because I had a huge break in between, you know, obviously 1920, I go off to college, I get married to my husband. We had our first child senior year of college. And then I just was a mom for quite a few years and raising a young family. And in 2019, I was like, I'm ready to write again. It's been so long and I can't handle it anymore. And I need to get back to it. So that's when Phased showed up.
Oh, wow. That's okay. Let me pull it up.
Sorry, it's a long story, so I try to nutshell it.
No, that's great. I mean, can you still buy these books on?
Some of them are out of print. My mom has boxes in her basement of a bunch of them. Andrew's Wizardly Reads is very proud. He has almost a full set now. He's been slowly collecting them around the internet. But yeah, some of them, they're not like officially actively in print, but there are still copies that my mom has. And
that's cool. That's just really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
What I find amazing is the tie-in to not only that you wrote at such a young age, but the tie-in, the importance of the tie-in to I'm a young author. I've actually published and talking to people about it. So I'm assuming you were talking to kids, and you know, if you go to the library, you're okay, and then you're just talking about your experience in general, and that's really impressive, especially when you said the dark ages of self-publishing.
Oh, I was terrified. I was still very new to public speaking, obviously, at that age, and you know, as a homeschooler, you know, going into a public school classroom and talking to a you know, advanced English class or whatever was a big deal, because you know, you're going into the the mythological like public school rooms, you know. But it was really fun, and I did a whole bunch of young writers conferences in Minnesota and taught hundreds of school age kids that were interested in writing. I did have the opportunity at 16 to do a adult writers conference in Minnesota, and I actually taught alongside Gary Paulson, who was a very cool guy. He took a break in between dog sled races to come down and do this writers conference, and then
that is cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He was a very cool guy.
Yeah. I used to teach his book to my kids, Hatchet. So
yes, Hatchet's so good.
Wow, that's really impressive. You talked about the adult conferences, like is it Bill? Okay, that's kind of how Bill and I met. Beyond being a critique partner, we also, when Bill lived in Texas, the great state of Texas here, and he was a little closer to me. We went to the Writers League of Texas. They'd have these conferences in Austin, and so you would have was it like that where you could go and you could choose a conference class to go to, and there were agents there and all that. Okay, that's really impressive.
That's crazy to be 16 and do something like that. Like, I can't imagine. I was a jerk at 16. So.
I had I mean,
but like
it was a lot. Like, looking back now, I learned so much, and it's such a foundational aspect of who I've become as a person now. And I learned so many things and met so many amazing people doing it. But, you know, like a lot of other teenagers, I was going through a lot of stuff too. And it was a lot to balance. And it did get pretty overwhelming. a lot. So yeah, I mean, I loved doing it, and it taught me so much, and I'm looking forward now as a adult who's better able to handle that kind of thing, to kind of take what I learned and now hopefully have a head start as I start doing in-person events again now.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And
Yeah.
do you have any planned, like any events to go to? Like, is something coming? Oh, what's coming up? So,
Well, you heard it here first. I haven't officially announced it yet, but I did just get accepted today. I got the email that I'm accepted as a Dragonsteel 2025 exhibitor.
Whoa.
So
whoa.
I'm very excited about that. That's my big news for the week, besides Cold Silver.
Oh my gosh. Like, this is
Yeah.
all the wins this week. Wow.
I am so
Wow.
excited.
Oh, wait, you said presenter or panelist? What?
So I'm going to have a 10x10 booth at Dragonsteel, with all of my books and stuff there. I don't know if they've put out a call for panels yet, but I am going to potentially put my name forward for something.
Is that
I
in
think
Utah?
that would be good.
That's in Utah, right?
Yeah, Salt Lake City. Mm-hmm. So
Wow.
I'm so excited. It's been so long since I've gotten to do in-person events with readers, and I've missed that. So I'm really looking forward to actually getting to like face-to-face meet people. So thank you, Mark.
Even that's amazing to go
Thank
to
you.
Dragonsteel to have. Wow.
I'm ready. I'm like, go
That's
big or go
so
home,
cool.
you know?
That is so cool, man. Wow.
Well, I don't know if I can top that with a question.
Yeah, I don't know if we could follow that up.
Let's see what we got.
You guys are getting all the tea. I haven't even announced half of this stuff
I know,
publicly
it's
yet.
great.
Oh.
I don't know how we got so blessed. Dewey, you need to start doing more.
I'm
more
just so
chapter
excited.
headers for people so we can get all the tea.
All right, number 4. Can you give us a minor character
Ooh.
from Cold Silver that you secretly love and want to write more about? I have a few in my mind, but I want to hear you.
Well, I'm sure this one is going to be on your list, Dewey. But I've actually already had a couple of other people mention him too. I would like to do a prequel story that's set like 20, 30 years before Cold Silver, and do Reverend Ambrose and his war story, and how he went from being a naval soldier to being a blacksmith and a preacher. I think that would be a really fun story to write.
That would be a fantastic story. I was reading when I came across that character, Bill. He reminds me of Danik, like one of our characters for Tana. He's an older war veteran that's now teaching, and just a really wizened person. But Ambrose is very kind, though, very kind and soft, like in his way he talks. And anyway, that would be awesome. I was thinking maybe you were going to give us oh gosh, what's his name? Not Hector McBride's other guy. The
Polly.
One. Yeah, Polly. That's
Torrance.
it. Polly Torrance. That's it.
You guys have seen 310 to Yuma, right?
Yep. The remake or the old one?
The new one, the remake.
The one Christian Bale and
Yep.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Dewey.
I don't think I have. Was it
Dewey?
310 to Yuma.
310 to Yuma.
Nope. I haven't.
Okay. You need to watch it. It's so good. It's such a good Western.
It wounds me.
I'm sorry. I know.
Well, Bill, you'll know. So Ben Wade, who's the main antagonist in 310 to Yuma, his sidekick, Charlie Prince.
Yeah, Ben Foster.
Ben Foster. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he was where I started when I was designing Polly Torrance.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be okay. I would like to see that story though too.
I thought he was probably the most interesting character in 310 to Yuma. Not that I didn't love the main two, but Charlie Prince was a really interesting character.
He's by far the best character in that movie.
Yeah, he's so good. Ben Foster's a really good actor too.
He's very underrated. He's a very underrated actor, and it's a shame.
Now that you're saying Ben Foster, that I can picture.
Yep.
All right, let's see. One more. No.
Uh-oh. It landed on a curmudgeon for people listening to the podcast. So this means that Tori gets to ask us any questions she wants. But keep it PG rated, please.
Oh, dang it.
And I don't think I have a problem with you saying that, but we got to say it. Put Dewey on the spot.
Why is it just me? It's both of us.
Because it's funnier.
Okay. Each of you is immediately transported into one of your books of your choice.
Oh,
Which
gosh.
one would you pick, and what would you do first?
You want to start, Dewey?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna pick the Tenacious Tail of Tale of the Tender Sword. Obviously. Where would I go? Where would I go first? Because I
mean,
really think
technically, Tori, you already know this. Technically, Dewey already is in the Tenacious Tale of Tale of the Tender Sword. He is Gale the Four Quillpen, our main character.
It's true.
It kind of doesn't count.
But as he is now, I mean, Galdeford is a very young version of Dewey. So now, as Dewey is now, like, what would he? I should say younger version of Dewey.
I would definitely want to go to
different years. I mean, if you listen to Brian Bell, who was in the chat, he said that Galdeford's like a 50-year-old married or divorcee and has like 3 mortgages.
Yep.
Yeah, I would definitely want to start in the monasteries. I would not want to be out. Galdefort has a nice little dirty room in the monastery, and that's where he goes and is dank and no one bothers him unless he's in class. And so I would love to go
curmudgeon home.
Yes, for sure. And it's near an ocean. Like you're going to find this in book 2. It's near an ocean, so you hear the ocean waves, which bothers him. But that's the only thing that bothers him. Because it's noise, it's whatever. But yeah, I would. But Bill, where would you go?
I mean, I'll stick with Tana just because my adult stories are pretty brutal and I probably die pretty quick. I don't want to do that. I don't know. I mean, I like the adventures, like the Idris School of Adventuring. Like it's just fun. Like I would want to do that. I would love to do that, and also just to like hang out with Farnsworth, even though I get annoyed when people keep talking, but to like ride around with the giant bird carrying us in a wagon, just be a lot of fun.
That would be very cool.
No, I imagine the most annoying person that I can imagine when Farnsworth was written. Like that. No. All right, that was a great question. Okay,
good question.
Let me
tried to go kind of easy on you, Dewey.
Oh, well, thank you. I do want to talk about Faced.
Yeah.
So this is the first. Talk about this one. Like this is your first one, right? Okay.
Yeah. So this is my first one back, kind of is how I describe it. And because I didn't put out a fiction novel for almost 10 years. And I really missed it. And I had a conversation with a friend about my frustration with how Twilight had taken over vampires and werewolves. Because I was in high school when it came out, right? Yep, and I made the same face as you do, Dewey, about it. Because at the time, I'm 16 years old, and all of my girlfriends are like, "Oh, you got to read this," and I remember reading it and being like, "Wait, we like this? Why?" Because at that point, my standard for werewolves and vampires at that point was Underworld.
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
so
okay.
like
perfect.
Going into Twilight, I was like, y'all are joking, right? There's not a vampire. And so I got kind of mad about it. And I was like, well, maybe for my first fiction project back, I will just try. I'm going to write about werewolves. Werewolves are so cool. And there's so many things that you can do with them. And so it was kind of, it started out as me being mad at Twilight and then blossomed into a story that ended up being very near and dear to my heart. I had some mental health diagnoses when I was writing this book, and this kind of turned into its own exploration of PTSD from a young character's perspective. And it's a story of the bonds of sisterhood and of friendship, and how to still do the right thing even when you haven't ever been given a reason to do the right thing by the things that have happened to you. And yeah, I mean, I have a lot of love for this story, and it always makes me really happy when somebody picks it up and reads it and is like surprised by what they find in it, because that's the typical reaction for people that pick it up, because oftentimes when you say, oh, it's a paranormal, there's a connotation to that, right? And I'm like,
also a young adult too.
I mean, it's young adult in the way that I write young adult, which is still pretty dark.
Well, that's probably why it surprises people too. If you say it's young adult, they're expecting, the big.
I mean, it's technically young adult in the sense that the two main characters are in their teens. There's a like anti-magic school subversion, and that kind of stuff. But it's definitely not for like younger teen readers at all. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. Well, first of all, I am 100% there with you on the
Twilight?
on the Twilight revulsion. That's when Twilight came out, it was like, are we serious about this? Are we sparkly vampires? Like I had just reread Interview with the Vampire and all of that, which I really liked. I really love Interview with the Vampire, Queen of the Damned, all those books. And
Vampire Lestat is one of the best books I've ever read.
It really is. Vampire Lestat was just incredible, and I loved those stories, and they were dark and gritty, and then here's Bella. Oh, who will she choose? Will she choose then? And I'm thinking, it's disgusting. So I'm glad to hear that made you mad.
It did.
Because it makes me mad thinking about it. But Phase was your first book back into writing. Then when did this come out? 2019?
2020. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So that's going to lead to my next question, more of a technical thing, which is the self-publishing piece. Yeah. So you started out like I think we were talking off. I think this is when we were talking off screen about starting out in the throes of self-publishing when it was not easy. 2019 it was
before it was cool.
Well, 2019 it still wasn't easy. Like
no.
How did you when you decided to get back into this, like how'd you get going with it?
I mean, I'm kind of at the end of the day, I always asked myself, would I still write if nobody ever read the books and nobody, like, I didn't earn any money from it at all? Like, would I still write? And I think that's an important question for all indie authors or any author in general to ask of themselves in this process, because for a lot of us, if you don't win the proverbial lottery, it is a lot of really hard work. Yep. And it's got to be something that you deeply love in order to make that work worth your time. And so I just wanted to write Phased. I wanted to publish it, and I was like, I'll figure out what to do with it later, but it's going to be a book, and I know that it deserves to be published. And I had just started my YouTube channel when Phased came out. So I did like a live stream for it and everything, but it was a pretty small launch. And it's just kind of been like the the older sister in a lot of ways of Bloodstones and Cold Silver, and it's been cool now as I've been starting to gain traction again to see people going back and picking it up and loving it. That's been really rewarding. But yeah, it was pretty small when it first came out. It was a tiny little, like, I think 20 pre-orders or something and that was a lot of people that knew me and had been around for a while and wanted to read fiction of mine again, which was very kind. So yeah.
I was gonna say
So
20 pre-orders is not too bad for a debut, even like in 2025.
Even if you're related to half of them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's how me and Dewey got most of our channel pre-orders, is our
Yeah.
friends and family.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
So, do you ever plan to go back to this world with these characters?
I do. Yeah. So Phased is technically a duology. And the second book, True Blood, I have like a third of the manuscript written and have for a couple of years. And I was just kind of waiting for the right time to feel like I was ready to go back to it. Because the subject matter, and especially when I first wrote it, it was very cathartic, and it was important for me to write it. And I think the themes in the book are incredibly important. But it like was emotionally very personal, if that makes sense. And so the last probably 2-3 years have been, I wasn't right in the right headspace for that yet. But I'm getting to a point now where I'm really excited to go back and complete the duology and tell the rest of Val and Lila's story, because they're incredibly important characters to me. So
How do you think that potential 6-7 years growth as an author is going to change how the story reads, or how you write, tell the story?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is. I don't think I can avoid that completely. But I think each book, I try really hard to let it have its own flavor. And one of the things that's been really good for me in switching between Phased and the Bloodstones and now Cold Silver is it's teaching me adaptability as an author to say, okay, what tone, style does this story need? Bloodstones is a lot more epic, has a lot more descriptive, that third person, like really grounded in the story. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of big threads. Cold Silver was a challenge because everything I describe has to be something that Hunter would notice. Right?
Yeah.
Because she's a very practical bounty hunter. She's not going to come in and start painting you pictures of the, she's not a poet.
Not like Louis from the
right.
The Vampire.
Yeah, right. So I think in that, switching between subgenres and giving myself the creative space to pursue these different series has actually really helped me with that, because I don't feel like I'm going to be forcing the tone of another story onto True Blood when I go back to it. I think I'm going to go back, I'm going to spend time, I'm going to reread Phased, I'm going to go back to that manuscript, I'm going to really let myself sink into that specific storytelling tone. And when you know and love those characters so deeply, I do think they call you back, if that makes sense. Like you can reconnect with them pretty easily. So.
That's pretty incredible. I will say one thing I did want to ask you was just as another technical question with Cold Silver, that's that first person present tense. Like
it's
that's
present. Oh, you did present
it
tense.
Is, yeah.
It's present tense. So it's like as it's happening. And did you find that, because that's so different from Bloodstones, did you find that a challenge?
I did. I had always said, and this is why I tell authors, like, don't say never, because you never know. Because I had said, I'm never going to write first person. It's just not my thing. I just don't see myself enjoying that. And Hunter was never a third person character. And I think what I learned from her was that first person's I think it's a tougher tense than a lot of people give it credit for. A lot of people look at it as like, oh, this is the easy one, so I'm just going to tell my story in first person because that's a little bit easier. And without the right character, it turns into a Mary Sue or Gary Stu very easily.
Yep. That's why I don't like a lot of first person, is because it's not most first person narrators are not interesting enough for me to want to be in their minds.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah. And Hunter was the first one where I found, thanks, Pete. I found this character and she just leapt off the page, and it was her voice from the first time I started writing the paragraph. And I was like, okay, maybe with first person, it's just that I hadn't found the right character for that voice yet. And Hunter was it.
it completely makes sense for that character. But I want to also say I'm not a huge fan of first person either.
Yeah.
And when I started reading, I was like, okay, let's give this a shake.
Yeah.
It's so well done in that.
Thank you.
And I'm not just saying that. I mean, I truly, I really believe that the way that you've written it is the character. It doesn't feel forced, or it doesn't feel constructed. It feels natural. It feels like a natural storytelling in a first person present tense. Like it's just as it's happening. Like there's no sense that she knows what's going to happen, or that there's not any kind of foreshadowing or any of this. Like it's mentioned episodic. It's like watching a TV show. Almost, where you're just in it in the moment with it, and the way Hunter describes her situation, it feels like it's just her. Like, but there's plenty of room for me as a reader to fill in the gaps, because I'm starting to question things, and it's like
at 60%, I bet.
Well, well, in fact, let's get to the questions real quick. I don't want to run out of time.
Well, I had real quick way of pulling it up, Dewey. I wrote a short story in first person present to challenge myself. Did you find that you still snuck those past tense verbs in there, and you're like, ah, damn it. Gotta fix that. Yep.
That's why Casey's amazing.
It's so annoying, because you're like trying to do this new thing, and then you're like, oh wait, you just normally go into third person past, or at least I do.
Yep, I do too.
It's so hard to do.
Well, and that's what I think I mean, is that it's not, I don't feel any shifts of tone, I don't feel any shifts of tense. It's just you've written it, it works. Like, so anyone listening, like, it doesn't, go ahead, and even if
that makes me happy that Dewey's like saying that, because I'm not going to say I wasn't going to read your book or anything, but like first person always usually scares me when I see first person. I'm like,
same.
First person.
Yeah.
So well, and a lot of first person does the whole introspective, like,
navel gazing.
That kind of stuff. And
Hunter doesn't have time for that.
Hunter doesn't have time for that. She's like she's
business.
I'm business. I need to get what I need to get done, and she doesn't put up with stuff. And so it's maybe that's a big part of it, is that I like the character and her voice. But the reason I want to go ahead and ask the question here, let's get to these questions. I have one question about that, so hopefully maybe we'll get to it. 3, what was 3? I don't remember. Okay, podcast, we are on number 3. It's the Moneybags. Let's say Rip gets a spin-off sitcom. What's the title, and who's his wacky sidekick?
Oh man. Who's his wacky sidekick?
By the way, I love Rip. I mean, I would watch it.
Rip is actually a very fun character to write, and it was funny because he's a nonverbal character. He's written to be a ball and chain, right? In some ways, and it's vice versa too. Hunter is also his ball and chain in a lot of ways, but he's like, it's so fun to just have this giant hulking animated corpse that just like you forget he's there, and all of a sudden it's just like you turn around, it's like, oh my gosh,
there he is.
There he is. And Hunter uses him for dramatic effect quite frequently, and that's always fun. And I think, oh gosh, I don't know what the title would be tough, but I think, so you know how in some fantasy books they have like enchanted weapons that have personalities and can talk? So I think Rip would have a sidekick that is an enchanted pickaxe. Okay. And it would talk because he can't. So it would talk to him constantly, and he just like, it'd be a one-sided conversation. I don't know what I'd call it. Yeah, I don't know what I'd call it.
He kind of reminds me of Lurch a little bit from the Addams Family, just because he doesn't talk and he's so big. Yeah, he doesn't really look like Lurch, but he's just big and just. I know he doesn't make noise, but still, and that would be perfect to have almost maybe Strix Bill.
I was
don't
gonna
I
say,
kind
my
of want to
book
write a
travels
short
far
story
too
about
much
this
into-
now.
All right, let's do one more. We're coming up on time. I want to ask what. Let's see which one we're gonna get. Okay, last one is 5. You introduced. Oh, that's it. You introduced several types of magic in Cold Silver. Do you have a favorite and why? This is where we're getting into spoilers, so I don't want to be
Yep.
too spoilery, but
I
I
know.
really came across a couple pieces of magic. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, well, so I've never been a big like spectacle magic kind of person. Typically speaking, in a majority of my stories, you're not going to see like, the two mages blowing fireballs at each other, and like that's really cool, and I like reading it. I don't enjoy writing it as much because I think it gets overpowered too quickly. Unless you really know what you're doing with handling the magical element of your book. But for Cold Silver, the world of the territories, the magic is very practical for the most part, which is part of the reason why I think necromancy is so shunned by general society, because it's like it's not like the normal practical magic that most people have. It is something other and very weird and like unnatural. And what I kind of imagine the magic system in the territories to be like, and this isn't a spoiler, is it's kind of a heightened version of a talent or skill that the person already has. So,
Right.
for
Okay.
example, Addie, who is a character, she's a businesswoman, she's a hotel owner, and she's a very vibrant character. She has charm, which is something where you go to her hotel, you're going to have the best night of sleep in your life. Like she can affect the mood of people in a close space around her, and that's just something she was born with. There are people there's a sharpshooter in the story who has the sight, who can she has like past 20/20 vision, which is why she's so good as a sharpshooter. So that kind of stuff, where I wanted to incorporate the magic into everyday life a little bit more, and not make it something that goes crazy overpowered, but it can be heightened by shade silver, which is why it's such a precious commodity.
Yeah, and I would say that it's very subtle magic. Except for the necromancy. The other ones, they're subtly mentioned, and I've really enjoyed that. I will say, and again, I'm trying not to do spoilers, but the concept of necromancy in this book is a very different concept of necromancy, and I think it's not zombies, it's animated corpses, and it's a very different take on it. I really enjoyed that, because I don't generally like gross zombies, like that are on par. This isn't that. This is like you said, he's a tool. Rip is a tool. He's a ball.
He's a
chain.
meat shield, essentially.
Yeah. He really
well,
is.
I mean, that was the way necromancy works in my story. And again, this isn't really a spoiler because Hunter says it pretty early on, is that you're not technically bringing someone back from the dead. This does not work. So like Hunter doesn't have the ability to pull a skeleton out of the ground that's been dead 20 years. Like she can't do that. That's not how necromancy works. It is like that person has to be dead a very short time ago, and you kind of stop them from passing over. So they're kind of held in this sort of cryo state in a way. And so there are different necromancers that we'll meet throughout the series who utilize that in different ways. Hunter's a bit of a oddball in her field, even in necromancy, because she's held on to Rip for so long.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a reason for that, but yeah.
Which I'm not going to find out, right, at the end.
Sorry. Not completely, not in book 1. Sorry.
Not in book 1, but that's going to make me keep
You will
reading.
find out, I promise. I won't leave you hanging through the whole series, I promise.
So Tori, we've come up on time. I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to ask anyone in the chat, do you have some questions for the wonderful, fabulous Tori Tecken? Hopefully we have a few folks here. Give them a chance here, and if not, No, maybe not.
What's
But
next?
what's next for you?
Mm.
That's gonna be my question, Bill's question.
I stole it from you because you're in charge today.
Yeah, so the next thing that I will, well, this is another thing that I'm going to be dropping the title and everything probably in the next week or two. I wanted to wait until Cold Silver kind of had its launch week and the week after. But I'm in the next writing project because I like all the admin stuff is the whole time I'm doing it. I'm like, I just want to write. And like launch week was so much fun. I absolutely love packaging like books for people and making it cool. And, I love doing that. And seeing everybody's pictures of it arriving, like it's just such a cool feeling. But I'm back to the Brew High world now. And awesome. I'm going to be dropping a novella, a 1.5 in Legends of the Brew High at the end of the year. And that is going to be my next writing project, which I'm very excited about that one. So watch my socials for a name reveal of that in the next week or two here. Okay. The protagonist, it's going to go back in time, and it's going to be an origin story from one of the characters in Legends of the Brew High, who is a fan favorite. So I'm very excited to go back and write that.
Cool.
So Pete has a question. How many stories in the Cold Silver world do you plan on writing?
Mm-hmm. So at this point, at least 4 to 6. They're pretty short, so they aren't, committing to a series of that size is a lot easier when the books are, really quick action adventure episodes.
Basically like a trilogy.
Yeah, essentially, page count wise. Yeah. So yeah, 4 to 6 books. I already have titles and general outlines for about 3 or 4 of them. So, and I know how it ends. I know the big ending. So I feel excited to keep going with Hunter, and I'm really thankful for the reception she's had so far. A lot of people really have enjoyed her as a character. So I'm looking forward to, you'll meet a character at the very end, Dewey, that I'm very excited to introduce further in book 2. There's just, like you said, there's so much in the world to explore, and like book 1 is so much fun because there's that element of discovery, and then once you get into the meat of the series, like you can really start to play. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, 4 to 6 at this point.
Last question from JA here is there a genre you've always wanted to write but haven't tried yet?
All of them. No. I would say I do want to try a sci-fi someday. That is something I'd like to try. Here's the thing. I don't know if I'm smart enough to do this, but I'd really love to do a heist, like a fantasy heist story. Yeah, I would love to try that.
Well, you could probably pull one in with this Cold Silver series.
Oh, I'm sure there will be some con shenanigans. Yep.
All right. So before we go, I do want to share one more thing. Here it is. It's your website. And this is linked in the description for the YouTube. But one thing, first of all, you can sign up for newsletters. You can get all the stuff here. But this, I love the progress of upcoming novels. You actually have an updated progress bar. That is so cool. I love this idea. So everybody just go here to check it out. Check out our books. Check out everything is all linked in the description. I love the design of the website. It's very simple, easy to get to. Gives me just enough information and a little bit more. But I wanted to make sure to give that a shout out, especially that progress bar. So if you're wondering where Tori is in her writing, go and check it out, or do the socials, like, unless you're me and I don't do socials. So this is the better route. But Tori, this has been a fantastic talk. Is there anything you'd like to say as we exit out besides buy Cold Silver, guys? Buy it.
Yes, please.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you to you guys for sharing your time and for giving me the chance to come on your channel and all the support that both of you guys have given to my writing in general. I honestly, the community is
Amazing.
everything. It's like having an army behind you, and I couldn't be more thankful for that, because without, our books would just sit by themselves in boxes without the community. So yeah, huge thank you to you guys for just having me on.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for joining us.
You.
This was fabulous. Everybody, thank you for joining the chat. And whoever watches, like Dewey said, all the information is in the description below. Like and subscribe. We got to say all that fun stuff. Go join, subscribe Tori's channel if you haven't as well on YouTube. She's got a very popular channel. That's a lot of cool stuff. And we will see you next time. Oh, wait, before we say goodbye, Dewey, have a wonderful vacation. I will see you
thank you.
in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.
Take some time off, come back, less grumpus, irritate Taurus. I can't
Grumpus Eratus. Yeah, I was channeling my coyote, my Roadrunner and coyote there.
I love it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.